Everybody pause. Before we get into this video, I just wanted to say if everything goes right and this audio is being used in a video on the morning of Friday, October 6th, 2023, then this is the first video on the channel featuring NHL 24 gameplay. Yes, we have a new team with the old logo and a whole bunch more adventures to be had. I know we had spent the last year, literally just only the last year, doing Hut stuff, and I plan to still play Hut, which is kind of why you're watching it, but there should be more variety this year. I'm planning to do some more EASHL. I also want to do some more franchise stuff for gameplay in the background so you don't just see the same team and the same players every single time. I get it, most of y'all don't even really care about the gameplay, but as I said last year, the gameplay is technically a vehicle for my personality and my channel to even thrive in this YouTube space, so at the end of the day, it's important. Some of you may not think so, but I think so, which is why I talked about it, because it's my darn show, darn it. So let's talk today about a post made on the Montreal Canadiens subreddit a few days ago, and how everything sort of aligns in my head. Because I saw this pop up on my timeline, I thought about it, and I was like, you know what, that actually makes a lot of sense. And it's one of these things where you don't really think it makes a lot of sense until you really sit down and think about it. At face value, this doesn't really work, but yeah, no, let's go out there and read what exactly it is Go Habs Go 31 posted on the sub on Tuesday, October 3rd. Hockey prospect writer Chris Peters, who has watched Lane Hutson extensively, brought up an interesting NHL comparison a few months ago. Now, yes, spoiler alert, we are talking about Lane Hutson. We had just made a video about him just under a week ago. The 1 year later, how everything worked for him in his freshman season. It was incredible. You can check that video out if you want to see how he became the most underrated Canadiens prospect we have seen in years. But the article that is linked in this Reddit post is all the way over here from April 4th, 2023. Chris Peters, Canadiens prospect Lane Hutson's historic freshman season at BU in context. This was published on flowhockey.tv. The link is going to be in the description if you want to go ahead and read this yourself. It's a very good piece. Chris Peters is a guy who has watched Lane Hutson extensively. He's had his fair share of scouting the games, tracking the plays, and making notes, which is why he's kind of in this position to write about hockey prospects in the way that he does. The thing that stands out in the way Peters talks about Hutson in this particular post is highlighted on the Canadian subreddit. Listed at 5'10 and 161, which is up in both categories from his draft year, Lane Hutson does not fit the profile of a team's #1 defenseman. Certainly not one that plays the minutes he does. In fact, there might not be another defenseman in the game today to truly make a one-to-one comparison to Hutson. He actually looks a lot more like Johnny Gaudreau than, say, Quinn Hughes, which has been a frequent comparison. Coincidentally, Hutson has 4 more points than Gaudreau did at the same age while playing down Commonwealth Avenue at Boston College. Oh boy, that is a crazy comparison, and it's one that, as I said, it doesn't really register right away until you sit down and you think and you acknowledge what these players do so well. Quinn Hughes is a rodeo cowboy in the NHL. He plays at the top of the umbrella on the power play. He is every second pass right there in the blue line in the middle. He is a brilliant passer. He can spin around guys. He can deceive opponents by using his pivots and opening up his hips, creating fake passing lanes and exploiting that. He also has improved his shot over the past year, which is great. Quinn Hughes is one of the best defensemen in the NHL. Lane Hutson is a guy who's normally compared to Quinn just because of that stylistic type of play, plus the size and the left-handedness. He doesn't have that same sort of spark that a Cale Makar has. He doesn't have the offensive eagerness that an Adam Fox has. He doesn't really have the reach that a Miro Heiskanen has, nor does he have the really just sublime playmaking that Rasmus Dahlin has that looks so effortless. Lane Hutson kind of looks more like Quinn Hughes than any of these other defensemen, but the Johnny Gaudreau comparison is one that I feel, after thinking about it, fits the bill even more. This is because what Lane Hutson does extraordinarily well is possession of the puck in the offensive zone. He spins around, he does the thing, he's always facing the net, and when he doesn't, he's always getting himself back to square by opening up space. Quinn Hughes can do similar things, But Lane just has this sort of ethereal vibe to the way he carries the puck around the zone, almost as if he were a traversing forward, squeaking down the half boards and cutting in, getting by guys. Johnny Gaudreau does a lot of that, and he's kind of needed to his whole career because he is a small guy himself. He became a 100-point player in the NHL. We all know that Johnny Gaudreau's a great hockey player, but that's sort of the style that he was able to create. Johnny Gaudreau cuts into the middle. He's able to find space throughout the smallest of gaps and put the puck in the back of the net or send a really nice backdoor play. Lane Hutson does similar things. The reason this differs from Quinn Hughes is because Quinn doesn't really have that inner drive to go into the middle of the offensive zone. Like, he always stays around the perimeter, and that's not a bad thing. It's definitely his style to just be more last man back type of material. He's always every second pass on the power play. He's on either point or he's on the half wall pinching down to send the puck back in, and then he'll retreat back to the point. Quinn is a more cerebral perimeter type defenseman that really makes it work with how he's able to manipulate opponents and create passing lanes, not to mention just his skating, his pivots, how he's able to move around the offensive zone. It's great, but he doesn't have that inner sort of drive that a Lane Hutson or a Johnny Gaudreau has. Now, of course, because this thing was posted onto the Canadian subreddit, you have a bunch of Habs fans saying, yep, look at that. Caulfield, Suzuki, Hutson. Yeah, I said it, your move, Quinn Hughes. We're going to move Lane Hutson to the forward position now, and he's going to get 100 points like Johnny Gaudreau did, because that is the comparison. Of course, we're not going to go out there and say that. We're not even going to say that Johnny Gaudreau is going to be the ceiling here. I mean, Johnny Gaudreau had peak seasons, let's say before his 115-point year. His best season in the NHL was 2018-19, 99 points. That's his second best year besides the 100-point year. And he also had an 84-point season on top of that, too. I mean, if you take a look at the college production, Johnny Gaudreau had 44 points in 44 games played in his first season with Boston College in 2011-2012. Lane Hutson had more points in fewer games, 48 points in 39. Hutson had 15 goals, Johnny Gaudreau had 21, so Hutson had more assists, but you could understand that comes with the territory. So at the end of the day, I mean, this is a crazy comparison, but it's a stylistic one that I think makes a lot of sense when you dive into what makes these players so special and what makes them so unique, their tendencies and how they traverse around the offensive zone. There's a bigger common thread in the Habs subs saying, oh yeah, could they actually do it? Could they ask Lane Hutson to become a forward? Could they go the Brent Burns route? But then there's a lot of people saying, yeah, I mean, just leave the guy at defense. Leave him there. Like, he's already comfortable with that role. He's known to most people as a defenseman. Why change it up now? You already saw that Hutson and Reinbacher pairing at development camp. That was gold. We want to see that more. We want to see that long term. That's the plan here. So, for all y'all Montreal Canadiens fans, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about the idea that Lane Hutson is more of a comparable player to Johnny Gaudreau than he is to Quinn Hughes? I tried my best to articulate why I feel the comparison makes sense, but if you disagree, if you have any other extenuating thoughts, then hey, the comment section is your floor. What are your thoughts on Lane Hutson heading into the long-term future? Do you think he's got a Quinn Hughes-like ceiling? Do you think he's got a Johnny Gaudreau-like ceiling? Do you think he will be the next Canadian to score 115 points in an NHL season? I personally would like to see it, but I don't think it's going to happen, but that's just me. Thoughts in the comment section below about Lane Hutson. Article is going to be linked in the description. Of course, this is just one little excerpt that we had read. There's a lot more written about Hutson because Peters does a fantastic job just kind of chronicling everything. But I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.